Right then everyone, let's get to this. So this is number 4 of Big Job December. As you can see, 4 series, G22.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Now I've already started stripping and I've already started sort of sizing things up. So what we've basically got so far, this is the hi-fi system. There are 3 levels. There's basic, hi-fi, and then the Harman Kardon. Hi-fi is the intermediate one, which means it kind of has a bit better of an upgraded system, so say. But nevertheless, we are going to upgrade it. So we've got tinny door, which we're going to put some sound treatment in it. Going to get some Dynamat on the back of this. The speaker sits here in an open void, which I don't like. So we are going to box that off. So this 10 centimeter, as you can see, paper coned neodymium magnet, that sits open just in there, and there is nothing really round it. So obviously the sound can interact. If it's got a bit of a mark there, you can kind of see on the swage where it's firing into the door card. But I might sound treatment that and actually cut the speaker off so it can't go anywhere into the cabin. We've also got, oh, do you know what, we're going to need a light. Let me grab a light so I can show you what's what. Temperature's dropped today. We've had a bit of a storm and it got quite warm, 14 degrees. It's gone back down towards 0. It's quite a chilly one today. Right, torch. There we go. Okay, so we've got the quarter trim off, and inside there, in that little hole, just in there, look, just there, we've got another one of these paper speakers, which is this one here, another 4-inch 10 centimeter speaker with a neodymium magnet. Again, not very special. So we're going to be replacing those. So we're going to do mids and tweeters in the front, coaxials in the back, and then the underseat subs. And here is one of those, this little badger here. So this delight sits that way up into that mount there, and it is fixed into the floor there. Now the speaker itself actually fires downward. So it points into the floor of the BMW, so it hits this, and then it's guided through this little vent here up into the door sill trim to create kind of like a bassy sound into that void there. So this kind of sits into the chassis like that, and your sub sits there. We're going to put speakers in, obviously, that point the right way up and fire into the car. And on this stage of the system, let me just show you the dash. There we go. We've also got a centre speaker, a mid-range and a tweeter up here randomly to create like a bit of a centre stage. That's going to be off and disconnected. We are doing front speakers, components, rear speakers are coaxials, 2 underseat subs. We're doing 2 key amplifiers from Kicker. We're doing a key 200.4 to get the nice front stage. And then we're going to do the sub amp onto these 2 left and right to give them a bit of bass. Eventually there will be a second part to this, and we will be doing probably a designated sub in the boot, and then we can reconfigure everything to be a front and rear system, and the sub will go off the key 500.1. Going to do a bass controller so he's got a bit of control, and then we move on to our aftermarket equipment. So these are match speakers. This is from Audio Fisher, the same guys that do the Helix DSP, and they now do a BMW kit. So we've got the underseat subs, and we've got like a little buzz bar where you can change this to be 2 ohms or 4 ohms by connecting up this pin here in the middle. We've got some component sets. So we've got tweeters, little mounts, crossovers, filters if you will, and you can have you can change the pins like a jumper inside the crossover there to give you an active set or a non-active set. So it'll either put on a high pass filter, or you can run it completely active if you're running an amp that's capable of filtering the bass out the tweeter sound. And then we have the rears with a proper 2-way tweeter and mid. Nice big juicy magnets on it. Still got the same BMW foam around the edges to locate onto the door card, BMW plugs, and obviously we've got a filter there to stop the nasty low notes going to these 10 centimeters, but it'll still sound way better. So that's going to run off the key, that's going to run off the key 500.1. For now we're just going to make sure the gain is nice and gentle. I think they're 200 watts RMS and 400 watt peak. We're never going to run the key flat out into these anyway, so a safe modest tune to make this sound decent but without blowing the arse out of them, because the key is quite a powerful little thing. But obviously both of them are processed, so we've got the option of, you know, having a nice decent sub out and then a nice decent mid and tweeter. I've also ordered in this one. This is new to us. It's like a key but without the key, so it's not got the processing side of things as the 200.4 does, but it does have the same kind of small footprint, but it has a bit more power as well. So the new, instead of a 200.4, this is a 300.4. So it comes in a slightly different coloured box. Gives you the same kind of versatility but without the processing side of things, but a bit more power. So that's cool. We're going to get that out and test that at some point as well. But that's where I'm at with the Beamer. So one side is kind of dismantled. I do have in the back, let me grab my torch. I do have in the back the stereo system apart, which is just here. And I've put in, I ordered this lead yesterday off some guys in London. We have got the ins and outs, like a glorified Y lead. So it takes a feed in, takes a feed out of the standard sort of amplifier. So we can then use this as an input and an output. And I just need to figure out which channel does what and sort of wire it that way into the keys. They'll probably sit in here out the way on this empty void, because the trim kind of sits like that, but obviously without the fuse box. But there is a bit of space at the back. The amplifier here kind of hangs between those 2 points, and there is a bit of a location space there, so I've got enough space for the keys to sit out the back. Battery in the boot, and obviously our fuse box for our ignition feed over there. I don't like, with stop start, running the DC offsets on amplifiers. This is just a heads up. They can sometimes cause a bit of problems with them. So if you're using an amplifier with DC offset, run an ignition feed just to turn the amps on and off. It's a lot more stable for the sound. Kicker warned me of this the other day when I had a chat with them. But I've had issues with DC offset before in speaker systems with stop start. But G22, it's a 2023 BMW 4 Series Coupe. And we're going to put this Fisher system and kicker system in board. Wait for the day that Kicker start doing custom fit speakers for Merc and Beamer. Come on, it's about time you jumped on board. See you soon, everyone.
Hold up a second here, Skippy. Right, let's get to this. So inside the back of the quarter panel, we're making a plastic heated PVC section to hold the amps. This is going to be located behind the factory amps, as you can see there. Bit of dynamat behind there to stop the rattle. And then we're going to get back on with time lapse. This is me taking the Y lead. We're cutting off the factory plugs. And then we are adding on the kicker wiring. So we've got our ins and outs ready for the key amplifiers, one for the sub, one for the 2 subs, and one for the 4 speakers, the coaxials and the components. We're just going to make our ins and outs nice and neatly, heat shrink, tape, fibre, get everything ready for the car installation itself. So it kind of looks factory, but hides away behind the original amp. There is a forum that discusses this modification to the car, and they talk about cable tying the amp to the other amp. We're not going to do that. We're going to go the whole hog and make a plastic panel that actually sits and looks nice as well as works. But back on with the time lapse. See you in a bit.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Right then dudes, we're back from lunch. And beamer's coming on. So we've got the front disconnected, speakers are out, dash is back together. We've got our sub in, just down there, into his new little mount. And then on the door, we've got our mid-range in, we've got our tweeter in, run all the bits and bobs, some sound treatment around it, Dynamat, and this Dyna liner to stop the back waves coming into sound contact with the front. In the boot, we grab this. Right, we've got our blue remote cable tied along the factory position, up there ready for the fuse box. We have our power situation there, fuse ready to be connected, and that's then cable tied and dynamated across here. We've got our amplifiers in and our little special board, so we've got our power in, speaker out, and it's all dynamated, coated behind that panel, as you can see, ready for the factory amp to be bolted back up in a minute. So we're coming on. I'm now going to start doing rear quarter this side, front door that side, get that one taken care of, and then get the seat out and do the seat sub this side. But we are cracking on. So I'll see you in a bit. Right then everyone, end of play, Friday. I'm very burpy today. So we got this door to do, under seats are done, that door's back on, quarter panels are done. Oh my god. In the back, amps are ready, pretty much. Got to do some setup, finish that door. But we had a good day, very proactive today. We've just ended a biblical rainstorm, so I've now got to move some stuff around, tidy some bits up. I'm going to get the girls KFC, so we'll start again tomorrow. I think I've got a Golf in tomorrow for a full speaker change, so front and rears, and then back on with this, try and get this door done, and then pretty much all we've got to do is sort out the factory amplifier onto the positioning, set up the amplifiers with their tuning, run through some test tones, and that's about done, which is good. I've got to go, I'm off up to Grimsby on Sunday. I'm going to go and look at a new car for Dad. His old jalopy, he's had it for a few years, bless it. Oh shit. He's had it for a few years and it's starting to give up the proverbial ghost. So I've advertised a thing on We Buy Any Car and they've given me a quote. So I'm going to punt the thing off. But I'm going to go and have a look at a new import for him. I've been trying to get him in an import for years and found one that I quite like and he quite likes. So I'm going to go and see it. But I've got a 4-hour 20-minute drive up to Grimsby, so I might have to have some fish and chips while I'm up there because when in Rome. But yes, let's hope the KTM's all good to make it a busy weekend. non-stop. Right, I love you and leave you. See you in the morning for the golf. Bye.